All right. Hello, everybody. It's Sarah Daniele here, the CEO and co-founder of My Doma Studio. And today we are bringing you our next designer spotlight featuring Lindsey Putzier. We're just going to bring Lindsey in here. And maybe. Oh, Lindsey, I need you to turn on your video. I turned it off. So we'll let her turn on her video. There she is.
Hi.
There's a beautiful smile.
Thank you.
So it's 1 o'clock, 1:01, 10 a.m. Eastern, or no, that's wrong, Pacific.
Yeah.
Let's get this right. And we're just going to give everybody a couple minutes to join as we normally do, and then we'll dive right in. So my favorite topic, if you haven't heard already, is always the weather. And Lindsey and I were talking about it before we turned this on. So pop over to the chat, say hello, tell us what's going on in your neck of the country, your neck of the world, wherever you are. We're coming from Ottawa today, and there's a massive snowstorm, which is basically shutting down the city. So I'm done with winter. Groundhog lied. Oh, here we go. Yep. Oh, that's because we got a couple. Oh, we got a couple of Canadians right away. Yeah. Cornwall, yeah. Big snowstorm. London, same thing. Yeah. Ugh. Lindsey, what's it doing for you right now?
And Damon's on, who also lives in my neck of the woods. There's like what, 3 inches of snow on the ground or so. I mean, it snowed this morning. It wasn't a big deal.
You're just getting like a little bit of it.
Yeah,
hey.
that's like minor. I mean, it was snowing when my kid went to school, coming down hard. They don't care. They just drive. It's fine. His bus was late, which was really convenient since I had an appointment this morning. But, other than
I like when that happens, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Calgary, +7. Karine, what? That's nice. That's good. Lucky. I think we're going to get temperatures. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. I'm sorry.
Like 40 something?
Let's say yes. Someone will chime in. -20. Ugh, that's a big difference. No wonder everybody's getting sick.
Yeah.
So as a reminder today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be interviewing Lindsey. We're going to talk all about her business. She's going to show us how she uses My Doma. She's going to let you pick her brain in a live Q&A. And so if you just want to chat, hop over to the chat and you can chat in there. But if you have questions, please use the Q&A box because that way I will be sure not to miss it. That's the best way to do things. So there is another Q&A, or you can raise your hand and we'll get you.
You can raise your hand too?
I think so.
Okay, sorry.
I don't know how. Some people do it.
All right.
So there is a way to raise your hand. Okay. I suggest it. I don't even know how, but constantly I see it pop up and it says they're raising their hand. So
it's fine.
Okay, so on my clock, we are just after 1. So why don't we jump in? And I'm going to start with giving a great little bio of Lindsey Putzier of Eclectic Interiors. So here you go, Lindsey. Now you get to sit back and listen to me talk all these great things about you. So I'm being joined by Lindsey. She specializes in colorful, collected interiors for busy families and professionals. She is not afraid to mix a lot of patterns and to truly create unique spaces based on her clients' interests and lifestyles. As a side note, quite jealous of your natural talent to mix all these colors and patterns because that was never my strong suit with all the patterns. So I am envious of that natural talent you have.
I love it.
Creativity and business processes are both passions for her. So this is really key. She studied interior design at the New York School of Art and Design, and she also has a business degree from the University of Virginia's McIntire School of Commerce. Before becoming an interior designer, you may or may not know this about Lindsey, but she was an IT project management consultant for more than a decade. Okay, so she specializes in project management, processes, organization, and communication were her specialties, which I think is a natural lead into her design business. And this is half the reason why I wanted to bring her on today. Because she's so process oriented, I think there's a lot that we can learn from her. With that, Lindsey, I'm going to let you take over and tell us a bit more about how you got into design and how did you make the switch?
So I did go to UVA and I did get a business degree, and I got hired by a big firm called Capgemini, which is like an Accenture. It's an IT consulting firm. And I'm not actually a programmer or anything like that. I don't do development. So I went into their process project management stuff and I loved it. And I actually really loved my job. And then I moved to a boutique firm in DC. But when we moved from the DC area up to Ohio, I had a really small child. He was 15 months old, and there were no positions around here that would enable me to keep doing project management and process analysis consulting and stay home most of the time. So they wanted me to travel 100% of the time, and you can't do that. I wasn't willing to do that. So I ended up taking a position as a systems analyst with a major hotel firm chain, whatever they're called. And I hated my life. It was a really bad job. Apparently, after being so independent and so able to kind of do what I want and talk to whomever I want, if CEO, the secretary, janitors, like literally anyone, you talk to them all the same way. And then you go into this corporate structure where you're like, oh, no, you can only talk to level 2. If you talk to level 3, you're going to get in trouble and blah, blah, blah. And if level 4 calls you, don't answer or don't tell them the truth. I couldn't do it. I was awful at it. And it was just a very pigeonholing job. So like, I was used to being able to suggest improvements and things like that. And they didn't want to hear it. Nobody wanted to hear what I had to say. It was like, stay in your lane. And I have a really hard time with that when I see things that are not optimized or efficient. It just drives me crazy. So it was a really soul-sucking job, and I would cry pretty much every day. So I did that for 4 years, though, because it's kind of like that golden handcuffs thing. I was making a good living doing it, but I was miserable. And my husband was like, this is ridiculous. You need to start your own business. You love design. You've always loved design. Why don't you go to back to school for design and start your own business? And I was like, I was all hesitant about it. Well, eventually he actually submitted my LLC form for me to get me started on it. And then I rolled from there. But that was his gift to me. It was $99 in Ohio. It's not a lot. And he's like, Lindsey, I submitted this for you. You're an LLC now. Go, do. So I kept my job. I started with NIAD. And I started my own company at the same time. And I still had like a 2-year-old, or no, I guess he was 4. Yeah, he was 4. So it was a little older, but still. So I had a lot going on. But that's kind of how I transitioned. I just always loved it. And one of the first things I found was Claire Jefford's Facebook page. And I read every single entry. And I read all the comments. And it was like a huge eye-opener into the world of design. And I did the same for Veronica Solomon's. Then I found Luann Nagara's podcast, and I listened to all of them. All of them.
How many were there at that time?
Like 300? Something
Seems
like
about
that.
Right.
Yeah. So I listened to all of them, and that was my crash course, which was basically, given my background as a consultant, you show up at a place, you know nothing about what's going on. I mean, you might know the industry, you might not. And you get there and they're like, fix stuff. And so you have to ask a bunch of questions, you have to figure it out and go from there. And that's kind of what I did. And I was going to school for it too, but I don't have a 4-year degree in it. And I'll never have a 4-year degree in it because I already have a degree. I don't want another one. So that's kind of how I started this all. But along the way, I was writing down processes and figuring out, based on other people's experience, what to do and what not to do. And it was a fire hose. And now I've been in business for 2 years, a little over 2 years. So it's not quite as fire hosey as it is now. But the first year, it was a lot. Not going to lie, but it's my passion and I love it. And I love owning my own business. So it's totally been worth it.
That's just, I can understand firsthand the type of stress that you were doing. I can relate to it, but I love that type of energy because when you truly are driven by a passion and you want to do something, it doesn't matter. You just do it.
Right.
Right.
You just do it.
I love that. I read every single one of Claire's posts, all of Veronica's. I believe you. I absolutely believe you.
And I still do.
But because we never stop learning.
No.
Right?
No, and I'm not afraid to admit when I don't know how to do something. And it's not a matter of, if I'm at a client's place, I'm not going to be like, oh, I have no idea how to do that. And I can't do that. No, I can do it. I just don't know yet. So let me look into it. It's the same line I used in consulting. I have to research that. I'll get back to you.
That is probably one of the smartest things I think that designers can take away, or pieces of advice. If you don't pretend, don't lie, nothing.
No.
You can get the answer.
You can get it. I mean, it's not going to be that mind-blowing of I can't think of anything that you just have to know who to go to ask the right questions, right?
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't be afraid to just, put the brakes on a tiny bit. Go find the answer. Because
Right.
if you don't know it, and lying is probably the worst thing you can do, or making up something.
Right? Because it'll eventually, right? It'll come to bite you.
Come back. Always comes back. So thanks for sharing that intro. I hope that a lot of people got a better picture of how you got into the business, and I think they can really relate to that. So coming from a past career, taking things that you've learned, applying them, and then starting with going back to school, embracing the industry, just jumping in. So props to you, all with a young son. Like, that's a lot to take on, and moving, and whew.
Oh yeah.
When you want to do something, when you're driven by it, doesn't matter. So big props to you for that. Okay, so I would like to, can you paint a picture for us a little bit more about your business? So maybe give us, I know we already talked about where you're from, but where's the business located? Do you have any employees? Like, just what is eclectic? I would say Lindsey. What is Eclectic Interiors? What is it like every day?
So I am located in Hudson, Ohio, which is kind of a suburb of Akron, which again, no one knows. So let's say it's near Cleveland. So that's Northeast Ohio. So up by the big lake, right across from Canada. That's where I am.
Pseudo-Canadian.
Yes. Yeah. Well, the weather's the same. That's what I meant. The weather's very similar to Canada. And right now it's me, and I outsource. I have a CPA who has been instrumental in teaching me how to use QuickBooks Online. So I don't technically outsource my bookkeeping, but she does help me with whatever I need help with. And I have QuickBooks Online, so I file my sales taxes monthly through there. It's $9. They do it for me. I just hit a button and they do it, and that's well worth it. And I use a couple of different 3D rendering services. So I just recently started doing that. So I don't do 3D renderings myself. I know how, kind of, but I don't like it, and it takes me forever, and I'm a real perfectionist, and it's not worth my time, and it's not worth the client. I'm going to be losing a lot of money doing that way. So I've outsourced that. And right now, my mom actually is my assistant. And she does all of my kind of clerical tasks. She puts away my fabrics. She reorganizes things. She makes me welcome packets. She organizes my invoices, like my paper invoices, into folders and things like that. So she does all of that for me. And in turn, I, get her things at cost, because I'm her daughter, blah, blah, blah. She's a terrible client. Love her dearly. But she's very indecisive. So it's definitely, I pay for it. I love her dearly, and she's really good at it. But I am looking into actually hiring either a VA or a local person to help me more with the Mydoma side of things, and purchase orders and things like that, because I'm finding myself doing a lot of those little clerical tasks right now, and I can't expand as much as I would like to. So my focus in my business has been more decorating, and not as much design, because that's my background, and actually that's my passion. So I prefer the decorating. I love fabric. I love color. I love texture. I just love making a room unique for whoever's living in it. It's not about what I love per se. I've done some rooms that I'm like, I could never live in this, but my client loves it. So that's what matters to me. But I have started working with a local builder. I just came back from an appointment doing kitchen design with him as well. So he has somebody who does the chief architect renderings, but they're not a designer. So they're not really that great with things like the light fixtures and the countertop materials and the tile and that kind of thing. So I go in and help them pick all the finishes based on, the client's needs and things like that. So I have started doing that more so, but I'm still not a full K&B house, and I don't know if I ever will be. If I am,
that's going to be my next question.
I will hire a K&B person to handle the K&B part.
Okay.
Down the line. So I've kind of been thinking about that, but my next step is an administrative assistant. that's
Okay.
what I need next.
Do you think your administrative assistant would have a design background? Do you think that would be an asset, or do you think you'll just go straight up admin assistant?
I will probably just go straight up admin assistant for now, just because of there's just so many little because I'm so detail and process oriented. There's so many little things that I like to do to make sure that I've got everything in a row. So my process is probably a little bit more intense, so to speak, but I really hate making mistakes and I really hate not knowing what's going on. And so I need it all documented. Yeah.
I remember when we first met, I was like, I feel like I know her forever. I also feel like we're twins. Like, in each other's brains.
Mm-hmm. You get it.
Is your son like that? As I digress.
It's hard to say yet, but kind of. I don't know. We'll see. Because my husband's kind of the opposite. So, very the opposite. We'll see. He's strategic. And I'm tactical. Actually, it works really well.
Oh, I can't wait to see what he's like as he grows up.
He's only 7. So he's in first grade. So,
who knows?
Yeah.
Sorry to digress. I was just wondering about that. Just being, sorry, continue. So we were talking about very process oriented, very detailed. So VA is probably VA or admin assistant along those lines.
Right.
Do you have a preference to work with somebody in person or virtual for this next role?
I think virtual will actually be fine. But I don't really care. I don't really love, so I work from home and I'm not really sure I love the idea of having someone in my house all the time unnecessarily. Because I work from home, I've got my time for designing and then I'll shut it off and then I'll go do something like laundry or I'll go work out in the middle of the day and then come back depending on my schedule. So I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. I am just now doing my standard operating procedures. Like as I'm doing things, I'm typing them up on my second monitor. So I just started that last week. So I'm not done. But yeah, SOPs are in process. So once I figure that out, I think I'll go from there. I am talking to a virtual design assistant service that actually Colleen Prim, I don't know if you know her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Recommended to me. She's local too. She's in Strongsville, Ohio, which is just a little northwest of here. And so I'm going to talk with them on Monday to see what they offer because she's had some pretty good luck with them. I think that's all I'll need. And I'm very used to, I worked from home in that soul-sucking job for 4 years. I've worked from home on a job with AT&T a long time ago, but for like 3. So I'm very used to communicating virtually. I don't have a problem with it. Right. I know it's not for everybody though. And I know working from home is not for everybody either. I am an extroverted introvert, I guess, like right on the line, but I like my space. And I'm just used to this now. So it would be difficult for me, I think, to have somebody else full-time in my space.
So what happens when the eventual, eclectic interiors grows? Where do you see it going? Or what do you, and I want to phrase that in a sense that it doesn't need to grow to 10, 15, 20 person firm. That not everybody wants that. So just where do you see it going? What do you want to do?
The short-term plan, because my son's young and I do like volunteering and I like a little more flexibility, would be to stay here for probably the next 5 years or so until he decides he doesn't like me anymore. So at age 12 or so, when they go off and do their own thing, then I would probably go ahead and open a studio space somewhere small. I don't know if I want to get into the retail furniture thing. I would love to have a studio. I would love to have studio space now so I could get some better stock and dealer pricing with some of my lines, but I'm arguing. I argue a lot with them and I get my way a lot. But I'm still working on that. Well, I was a rationale, we had 2 studios in Hudson close in the last 2 years, 2 design studios. So you can say all you want, I have to have a studio, but do you want me to sell your product or not?
Yeah, because I'm not going to make it easy.
Who wants your product?
Yeah.
So, I know you'll.
Yeah, I'm reading what Damon says. A studio for sale, maybe in your timeline.
This is fabulous. Oh my gosh, it's wonderful. So,
how many employees do you see having when you're in the plus 5 year timeline? If you make that jump to studio and.
I would like to have a full-time administrative assistant, a full-time kitchen and bath person, and probably a junior designer as well, so that we can do, because I offer 2 different service levels. I offer full service, which is everything everyone knows, and then designer on demand, which is like designer on call, which is more of the hourly packages. So I would love to be able to give some of that work to a junior designer, because I think that's still someone talented, obviously, who knows what they're doing, but I think that that's something they could definitely handle and build their own career and then learn the business. And I would not expect them to be with me, for 30 years if they don't want to be, but that way they could learn what to do, and then that would give them preparation for going out on their own as well if they wanted to, or to step up in some other firm. It's up to them.
Oh, what a great mentor you'd be. It's exciting though. So there's the plan. So we're all gonna keep an eye on her over the next 5 years and watch as she grows. So tell me, we probably have quite a few people who are new to the business. How did you get started finding clients? That's always a question I like to know.
Facebook.
And how did you use Facebook to do it?
Facebook. So I am in a lot of local little Hudson or Northeast Ohio groups. And I have a lot of friends, like actual friends, not design client friends, who are in these groups. And when I told them, hey, I started a company, I'm a designer now, which looking back, I'm like, really? Okay. But, I've grown.
Make it till you make it.
Exactly. And I did. So they recommended me to a couple people. And my first client that I got on Facebook, actually, she's going to be a repeat client. She's moving. But she and I got along so well, and she was a big advocate for me, and she got me like 3 or 4 other clients. And then just having my name in those threads helped going forward. So that's how I got most of my very first clients. And since then I've gotten some referrals, which is awesome. And then I've got some repeat clients now in the pipeline. And actually, finally, within the last 3 months, after doing Instagram consistently, like almost every day for a year and a half at least, I've gotten a bunch of clients from Instagram.
Really? Tell me about that. I'm going to pull up your feed and I'm going to share it with people.
Yeah, you can pull my feed, and I have a tiny little following. I think I have like 1,300 people that follow me, and I have very little interaction on my posts every day. I was just talking to one of my friends, Terrence, about this earlier. It's like actually really frustrating, but it seems like when people want to find me, they can find me.
And are they DMing you? Are they interacting with your stories? Okay.
They're DMing me usually, or they are going to my website and then sending me a message through my website. Okay.
I'm just sharing her feed here. So Stephanie Katz is saying, yeah, the Facebook word of mouth is hard to do. But when there's been a referred designer in town, all the local moms already love to refer. Definitely timing.
There were 2 others that actually used to get referred a lot as well. So it's just a matter of asking your friends to refer you, and then you'll get out there. Because certain groups have other designers that they follow. But you're unique and you're you, and there's room for you to come in.
Always room.
Yeah.
Did you do anything else locally? Did you do anything in person to try to build up that clientele?
Yeah. So I joined BNI, a BNI chapter, and I was in that for probably 8 months. And I won awards for being the largest referrer and all that every time. But they're little. It was very much an old boys club in the leadership in our area, and you can only be mansplained so many times before you just don't need it anymore. So I quit recently. Actually, it was really causing me a lot of stress. I was sick a Tuesday morning, and I got a really nasty email that you should have had a substitute. This is your second absence in 6 months, and if you have another one, we're gonna open your slot again. And I'm like, you know what? Calm down. I couldn't do it anymore. So yeah, mansplain. Well, I'm from IT, right? So I've been mansplained to a lot. Yeah. So I can womansplain right back. It's
you can handle it.
It doesn't work very well. So
kind of wish I could have been a fly on the wall for that conversation.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was like, I'm done. I'm your biggest referrer, but all you care about is that I didn't have a substitute for this meeting. I'm a one-woman show. I don't have a big company that I can call someone up at 5 a.m. I mean, this meeting starts at 7:30. I can't call somebody up that morning and be like, hey, I'm sick, go for me. That's not realistic. So I was just like, forget it. I don't need it. I got a lot of great contacts from that. And I've got some great people in the industry. Like I found my painter through there, my flooring guy, and then there was some other ones. There was a general contractor in my BNI chapter I'm not really a fan of. So it's a good thing that I'm out, because then I don't feel obligated to recommend them. I work with a different one.
That's what I was going to say. How many contractors do you work with?
I've worked, well, two have hired
regular ones? Okay.
Yes. And the one I love, absolutely love. And the other, it's now been 6 months and they're still in the design phase. And I can't handle.
Got time for that.
No, I don't, you know, it's just like, and then they'll all of a sudden be like, oh, we scheduled a meeting for, you know, if it's Thursday now, next Monday, you have to be there. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm not your employee. I have other clients, you know, so that doesn't work well. But this one that I'm working with is amazing. Process oriented, client driven, you know, it's all about making it a smooth client experience, stress-free client experience. They're awesome. So I really love working with them. Now I've also been hired, I do designer on demand packages for things like the kitchen and bath design, just to pick fix finishes and stuff. And so I'll work with other contractors that my clients have hired for those very frequently. Most of them are, you know, unfortunately the stereotypical contractors. So they're not real well organized. They ask me the same question 15 times. They claim they can't find things. I give them access to my DOMA. And they're like, oh, I don't see the grout in there. I'm like, really? Did you Control F for grout? Did you try?
Did you try?
So, you know, but it's okay. I mean, they didn't, I didn't hire them. I didn't recommend them. They, you know, it's fine.
Yeah, so if it's coming the other way. Yeah, right. I always found that having like a close, successful for me was having my close group of contractors that I would work with regularly.
Yeah.
Because they always recommended projects to me. I recommended back, but I would always keep an open door, right? If somebody needed something, absolutely. And then if the relationship was good, we'd keep working together.
Right, and it was a good trial run. I mostly had well, actually my guy's doing my master bath right now, so I'm actually a client too, which is hilarious. No, I'm not getting any discounts or anything like that. It's like, I'm just gonna pay you to do my bathroom. I don't want any special treatment. Like, just
smart. Don't, because otherwise you get bumped. You may not get done as well.
That's the thing. Yeah. So, but I've hired my flooring guy that I use now, and the flooring installer, carpet guy, painter, drywaller, a lot of them that I use now, I've hired to do small things in my own house. And they don't know that I'm a designer. So they'll come in and treat me like they treat everyone else, which is great because it's very eye-opening.
That's awesome.
I still haven't found a plumber. I have not been pleased with any of the plumbers that I've had in my house. Great electrician too. I have a wonderful electrician that I use. So I found them recently. So that's kind of how I do it. But I know it's not feasible for everybody to bring people in to do projects.
So then I want to jump over to a screen share soon, but this is just so good. Are you managing all the trades then in your projects? Or like, to walk me through, okay, because you're doing mostly decorating, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, you don't typically have to manage the trades for the most part.
I will work with the trades to make sure everything. I will become the little mini bother door knocker if needed to keep them in line. But these guys I don't have to manage. That's the beauty of these people that I've found. They know what they're doing. They go, they do the work, and they're done. And I'm not hiring them, and I'm not paying them. My client does
That's what I wanted.
I don't want to be a general contractor. I mean, it's hard for me not to step into that PM role, honestly, but I really don't want to. I don't want to have to.
So just walk me through, is your client acting as then the PM on most of your projects, like managing their trades, or would they hire a general contractor who manages those individual trades if they have to sub out something?
It depends on the project, which is such a consulting answer. It depends, but it really does. Yeah. So on the larger scale projects, they're usually working with a GC. On the smaller ones, like I have one where the budget was pretty tight. We did mostly outermost pieces, but then we did $3,000 custom draperies. So, there was a full budget and I worked it in. But she's just doing carpeting and floor refinishing. So I recommended people, and then I helped her pick out the carpet. But there's no need to bring in another layer in that. Yeah.
Okay. So, which leads me to, you mentioned custom drapery. So I wanted to talk to you a bit about the fact that you do a lot of custom products.
I do.
talk to me a bit about that. So tell me about them. Tell me what you
So
do.
I do a ton of custom draperies. I have an amazing workroom. Her name is Chris, and she lives down in Uniontown for the people who are on here from my area. Um, she used to be in corporate America. She worked for AT&T for years, and she was in kind of that similar management role. And then she got, like me, soul sucking. I'm done. I'm opening a workroom. So she learned, she'd always known how to sew, but she really got in there. She actually knows Michelle Williams. She's taken some of her classes back when she used to do the more workroom stuff. And so she's amazing. I found her actually again through Colleen Prim. And she does all of my custom drapery except for a very few amount of things that I'll get from Fabric Cut directly. They do have a good workroom. I'll get my Romans through them. And I've talked to Chris about this. She knows, because they offer cordless Romans and they're so inexpensive. We can't figure out how they do it. I mean, to $700 for a cordless Roman with a trim, you know, a decorative trim. Yeah. It's right. I mean, obviously even like $200 a yard fabrics, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty remarkable.
Right. And she can't match the price, and I'm not going to cut my margin, and she understands, and I bring her a ton of work, so it's fine. So that's for the drapery side. And then for the upholstery, I wish I had more upholstery lines. I'm working on it, but I do custom upholstery through Barnes Custom Furnishings, who's completely custom and only works with designers. And he's a pretty fun individual, actually. He's got quite the personality. If you have a chance at High Point, he's always at Market Square. So go talk to him. He's funny. And I
say his name again, and I'll put it in the chat.
I think his name is David, but it's Barnes, Barnes Custom Upholstery. Okay. And they're great, and it's all CLM. So well, not all. He's got some fabrics, but not very many. So mostly CLM. And then I use CR Lane a lot because I have stocking there. But in my area, I was able to open it with a $5,000 order. Now, I know that's not the same everywhere. Sometimes you're told 10, sometimes you're told 25, sometimes you're told to kick rocks. Like, it just depends on your area. But I was able to open CR Lane. It could be a different one for you. You know, you might be able to open Vanguard, or no one's able to open Lee, but you know what I mean. So I do them for custom as well, because they've got a great, I'm looking over, you can't see, I've got like 2 bins full of their fabrics. And they've got great fabrics and great frames, and very reasonably priced for 8-way hand tied. So I use them a lot too.
So for some of us who are not, we'll say, masters of custom drapery, can you openly speak about some of the margins that you make on it, or why you choose to do that from a revenue side? Do you feel comfortable?
It's all doubled. Everything is doubled. The labor, the fabric, the lining, the installation, it's all doubled. And the price is the price. You can afford it or not. The only exception to that is if it's an extremely high-end fabric like Schumacher Citrus Garden, which I'm obsessed with. That's like $368 if you double. So that's a lot, right? And I'm still making a healthy margin, and so I will bring that down a bit in order to fit it in budget, especially if it's the wow factor of the room. Remember, I'm new to this, so I'm still building a portfolio. So there are instances, and they are not determined by emotion, but they're determined by strategy, where I'll say, hey, I really want this fabulous thing in this room, so I'm going to lower the margin to fit it in the room for my portfolio. So that's
that strategy.
Yes, that's the time I will do it, not because somebody looks at me and says, this is ridiculously too expensive. And I say, oh, I'm so sorry. Let me drop the price. You know, that's not my job. It's either it's expensive or it's, you know, that's why though, when I'm doing custom drapery, it's part of the room, right? So I get a room budget, and sometimes we'll have to give somewhere else. I might do something like an outermost table, or Hudson Valley Lighting instead of Curry Company, or something like that for some of the lighting, just to bring down the price of the other elements. But I stay in budget as far as like the entire room goes. And when I'm presenting, that's one of the first things I say is, all right, your budget was $60,000. This is $58,500. So let's not think about the individual line items right now. Let's focus on the design. If you like the design, let's go forward. If you don't like the design, then, you know, there's a problem, and that's never really happened. But, you know, that way they're not focused on the fact that, like, in that house that had a $12,000 budget for a refresh, she spent, I think it was $3,500 on drapery panels.
Right.
You know,
when, you know, it seems like proportionately not the right choice,
third.
but
Yeah, but we did uttermost for the accent chairs and the lamps and the accent tables. And I did Ryan's studio, no, not Ryan, DD Cap for the pillows. And then I had my lady do some really simple valances, and I just found like it's a trend fabric. I think it was like $20 a yard retail. So, you know, there's ways to do it with a Schumacher tape that was like $50. So the tape costs more than the fabric, but you know.
Crazy. But I love that, because you found the solution for them, right? And I think that's what's most important. And you worked to their budget, and whether it's a $60,000 budget, $100,000, or $12,000, right? There's always room.
There's always something, but it just make sure it's, I don't know. And some other people actually will do over budget on purpose as they present. I will always put in optional extras, and I show them in the design, but it's still a full concept without those. It's not like they're needed, but I'll oftentimes put in wallpaper or more accessories or something like that.
Absolutely. I had a conversation with a past client, and he said he was redoing his daughter's bathroom, and we were discussing custom shower, floating vanity, reusing some things, et cetera, the heated flooring, and a skylight in the shower. And I said, okay, we're going over budget. And I said, you know what, how about we don't put the skylight in? That's $3,500, and they're prone to leak. Even new ones, I said, well, they're better, but they're still prone to leak. You're putting a hole in the roof. Like, why don't we not put that in, and let's use that money somewhere else, right? Like, so it's all about understanding what they need and distributing it, listening to their needs, right? I was like, you don't need a skylight in there. You want to have a skylight in there. I would rather put that $3,500 to many other things. Like, exactly. I'd like to do the knee wall in the master bath with the niches, with the chandelier over the top. Just saying. The double-sided fireplace. There are many things that we could do instead of the skylight.
Yeah.
We can put it somewhere else. Maybe not all that stuff, but so with that, do you want to flip over, and I know we want to talk a little bit about your process and do a screen share, because I'm just gonna keep an eye on the time. I'm a little bit over, but the conversation not over yet, but I know we're going to go over. So you give us a little tour of what we're taking a look at here. So again, the point of here is we just wanted to show other designers inside your studio, because everybody wants to learn from one another, and Lindsey has been graciously offered to show us around what she does. So let you take over again.
Pretend project, because I'm a little worried about showing you actual client projects, but this is one that never came to fruition because the wife was a hot mess. So let's go to spaces.
Say it how it is.
Well, it's true. So like for master bedroom, I wanted to show you. I usually put the scope for every room in this initial spot here. And then I'll do other notes. And then sometimes I'll do the style as well. And this is just based on information I usually get from the initial consultation. And then I've got, before images and all my notes and things like that I put in here as well for every room. But then moving to the proposal, which I still call the product page because you changed it on me. It's okay.
It threw a lot of people off, to say.
I really like this new group feature, so I've been using it a lot. So I want to show you guys what I do for things like custom bedding. So this is a group, and right here we've got like the image of the bedding style that I chose. It's just Eastern accents mostly with some custom stuff mixed in. And then this is just the total price of the custom bedding. And then if you scroll down, you can see the individual items that I have underneath there. And they're all laid out. And then as I purchase them, I'll actually, go back and take a note on it. As I'm going through, I use this designer notes field a lot, hidden from client. So I'm going to have to make sure whoever I have as an admin knows to put the designer notes in here. But every time I do something, I put it in here. I'll say like purchased, shipped to receiver. And then if there's an update, then I'll put it above, received at receiver, receiver inspected, all good, or receiver inspected, problem with something, submitting a claim, and then I'll follow up. And so my whole list is in here. And every time I put in a new note, like let's just pretend it's in the future. It's leap day. So I'll just put it above. So my notes are in order going up. And that's something I used to do in Excel when I was a project manager. I always kept the most recent note at the top. That way it just flows better for my mind. But in here,
I like that.
For the client, because I sell this as a one-stop shop for the client, and how it's so beneficial for them because they can go in and see what's going on. So I have a few client-facing notes I'll put in there, like I'll put received and inspected, all good once that happens. But I won't update this here until it's actually true. But then the client can kind of see. And I might, depending on the client, I might also put when I purchased it or ordered it, I'd say, not purchased, just so that they know. But most of the time it's not necessary.
That's a good use of that. I love hearing how everybody uses it different and with their process. That's a good spot for it.
Yeah, I just do it there. I don't keep track as much as I should with POs because I have a lot of my, a lot of the companies that I use, all the stuff's online, so I don't really have to submit POs, but I do it a lot for the custom stuff. So I'll use the PO process for the custom draperies and the CR lane, things like that. Yeah, so it's all grouped in here. But what I want to show you, because this is bedding, let's look at the dining room because I have draperies in there. And they're at the bottom. My internet's really slow.
Okay, I was telling you off air how I had no internet at my house this morning.
Yeah. So this is an example of custom dining room draperies. So I'll put my rendering in here. I use Minutes Matter for drapery renderings. This one's not a real room. A lot of times I'll take a picture of a real room and put it in. But this one just shows the curry chandelier with the draperies. And this is actually that citrus garden drape I was talking about. That was going to cost a lot. And I also put in the fabrics, color block rendering. Let's see. Oh, and the hardware. It'll be in there as well. Yeah, I think that's from the group. So we've got the 2-finger Europleat functional shears. So the shears underneath. So that's part of this grouping here. And then we've got the draperies themselves, which I just make a new product for every single custom drapery I do. It's really not that hard to make a product. I find it very convenient to have it all in there, and then I have the price on them all, so I can run historic analysis and that kind of stuff to figure out for new clients. They're like, well, how much is that going to cost? Well, it depends. It's not a good answer for the client. Yeah.
I like that historical reference. That's a really good use of that. So
yeah,
what Lindsey was saying, just to repeat, because I had to think about it for a second, maybe it didn't go everybody else's head fast. It's just by recreating it as a new custom group, like she can look back and say, okay, that combination cost $25.66, or that's the total for the client, or my cost was $12.83. But then yeah, she can check and see how prices have changed over time. And I think that's quite smart to keep a handle on. It's a quick reference point.
Exactly, which is necessary, I think, in this industry because it's hard sometimes to keep track. And then I'll also put, the draperies with the rendering, and then I'll put the hardware right in that group as well, with a picture of what the hardware is. This is not the real hardware. I just put this in. And then also installation. So I put everything together. And then I don't like the item prices to be visible for the client for a lot of these things because it just doesn't make sense. It's the price is the price. It's just one big price. So the total price of this. For everything.
I think that's really smart. I mean, some people, like I am all about transparency, but there are time and place to not show a specific piece because sometimes a piece of trim or hardware is integral to the design. And that particular thing might have an inflated cost and you don't want them pulling out, right? Especially when we're talking hardware. Like, I don't know. It can really change the look and feel. And if we then cheap out, it can change things. So sometimes it's good to say, this is the price.
I mean, I have a situation now. I have an invoice out right now, and he's going to pay it today. Where the hardware is, I think, $350, and the drapery panel is $347 for one. So it's two, but still, that's some people go crazy when they see that and they're like, why can't I just go to Target? And I'm like, no.
You can't.
You can't go to Target and get a telescoping rod and hang it up with custom draperies. The answer is no.
We're just not going to do that. That is a faux pas.
Yeah.
We're not doing it.
No, we're not doing it.
Talk to me a bit about the client experience. I know we had talked briefly about that. So you use the portal for your clients.
I do, but I have, right? So I can show you.
Okay, sorry, I've let you take over. I'm not driving. You're driving.
Open my files. There we go. Sorry. This is really kind of a mess, so I apologize. This makes me look a lot less organized than I am. Why is this not opening? Okay, there we go. So I have templates that I use. Where are they?
Might need to.
I'll probably have to share this again.
I think so.
Let's move this window away from the shared application. Oh, well, I'm opening it, so hold on. Let me.
I'm doing this, so.
And then share Word. Share. Sorry. All right, so
That's
here
okay.
it is. I know that's not the email, but this is so I have templates for everything. This is the template that I use for like my DOMA itself, but that was the wrong one. Hold on. Sorry.
It's okay. I'll put you on the spot. So.
It's the welcome email. That's right. Duh. I just changed it because I just did my SOPs for this, and the wording made more sense to say it the other. Ugh. Silly me.
Story of my life. I do things like that.
Yeah. Here we go. So this is what I send to everybody. It's just, this is the email when they get their project portal. I've already told them ahead of time. This is after they've signed the contract with me. I used to set people up before the initial consultation, and that's a waste of my time because a lot of people only need one consultation, or they kind of twiddle, or they need time to think about it for months, and then I've set them up and then they don't get used, and it's a waste of my time. So after they've signed the contract with me, and I've mentioned this, at that contract meeting, then I will send them this email with their personalized details, and they can kind of get an idea of how to use the system. I do also tell them to use it on a PC, not on the phone, because it's challenging to use on a phone. I just had a client the other day be like, I really don't like this. I'm like, that's because I told you not to use it on your phone, and you're using it on your phone. Sorry.
I told you so. You're not listening. We're aware of it, and don't worry. We're cooking up a few different things.
I'm sure you are. Now, I told her how to use it, and it was fine. So I'm thinking about making a video to show them how to use it on my phone, because you can make a video on your phone of using your phone. I just don't know how.
That would be a fun way to do it. You'll Google it. I love that you send out this email. That's really good. Yeah. That's nice, because then you're customizing it and giving a personal touch, which I think is what's most important, right, when we're talking client experience.
Right.
Do you want to flip back to your account? Is there anything that you wanted to show? Because then we'll open up for Q&A. Is there anything you want to show on the client side from in your account? If you're done, that's okay.
Client side.
I'm just watching the time here, because when I'm in full screen, I can't see.
I don't think so. Let's see.
Do you have your clients, I guess my question to you is, because you're inviting them in, are they coming in and are using the approve feature? Like, are you in your process, are you having them approve products before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do. They have to approve everything before I order them.
And then after they approve, what do you do next? Do you invoice, or do you order? Do you take a deposit?
I invoice for the full amount up front. I'm not a bank.
Up front.
And I don't have any net accounts with anybody either. So I'm all pro forma. So I have to pay up front. So you have to pay up front. I mean, that's just how it works. And I've only had pushback very few times, actually from realtors, because they don't get paid until the very end. So they don't want to pay me until the very end, which I thought was odd. I had that happen twice. And then with one older man who just didn't like the fact that I was the businesswoman or something. I don't know. But other than that, I haven't really had any pushback. People are like, okay. And then they just send me either, a credit card. I do accept credit cards. And I just always account for the 3% fee just in the pricing. And then if they pay with, it's not like a separate line item or anything. And then if they pay with a check or of cash, which I had yesterday,
What's that?
$8,000 in cash. Okay.
Oh,
Go straight to the bank. I was like, I don't
yeah,
like
no
this.
kidding.
But if they pay with that, then it's just extra money for me. But it's a cost of doing business. I feel like taking a credit card, and I don't know, I'm okay with it.
You're offering an added convenience. That's the way we've always said it, right? And
right. And then I always check things as purchased as I'm purchasing them myself. That's when, to me, the way I use this, I click it as purchased when I have purchased the item. And then I will also write a note to myself, purchased and shipped to. And I always write who I ship it to, because I have 4 different receivers that I'll use depending on
I
the
love
client
that.
and the job. Yeah.
No, that's really, really great. It's nice to see. So you're adding the items, you're having the client approve them, you're invoicing in full, you're then creating your purchase orders or just buying online, depending on the scenario, and then you're marking as purchased when done. Nice.
And I always purchase directly from, and I always shut these off. Clients don't see who I'm purchasing from or the manufacturer. That's none of their business. But I put this here on purpose so that I can just go directly to the site and purchase the exact item. I know it's the item because I clipped it. I use the clipper to clip things.
And then you know he's going to the right spot.
For custom draperies. But anything else, even like CR Lane or something, or Barnes Frames, they still have their own web page. So I can still go on and say, okay, I know I have the right frame here. So let me write down that information in the PO and make sure it's, it's all correct.
Love it. Okay, Lindsay, let's flip over and do some Q&A because I know we've been chit-chatting, which is the whole point here. I'm watching. We got about 8 minutes left. So I'm going to hit you with a couple of questions right away. So how do you sell custom upholstery without a showroom for clients to try?
I go to High Point.
Coming from Melanie.
I go to High Point Market and I sit on stuff. And then I take notes and I'll take videos of how it feels. I also have some custom pieces in my own home, and depending on the client, I will invite them in. My home is pretty nice. I mean, we're working on it, so I'll have them come in and be like, all right, this is a CR Lane a sofa with Hallmark cushion and fiber back cushion, or something like that, and then they can sit on it. Most of my clients just kind of trust that I know what I'm doing. I do have 2 example cushions from Row, because I used to sell Row more before I got CR Lane. I'd like to get those same kind of thing for CR Lane, or even I have a sunroom that is basically empty. So I was thinking about getting a sofa with 3 different kinds of cushions, like a 3/3, just as an example, so they can sit on. But yeah, that's it.
I think you're getting closer to needing a studio. That's all.
I know.
5 years. Until then, great plan. So love it. You're sitting on things, you're seeing it, you're taking video, firsthand account.
And I'll show them the videos.
You have all the samples. That's
great.
I
look ridiculous, like super not particularly professional at High Point all the time. I mean, they have wine everywhere, but
they have wine everywhere. That went over my head again for half a second. They do everywhere.
Everywhere. But
no, I think
this is great. This is kind of hard. Oh, I don't like this. This would be good for a tall person. This would be good for a short person. And now that I know, the specific brands that I sell, I go specifically and I'll spend like 2 or 3 hours at CR Lane just sitting and taking very, very detailed notes about pitch and all kinds of stuff.
You are a very honest person, and I think that comes across. And when this is my process, this is what I do, this is what I've tried on. Why would they distrust that, right? They can see that. And I think you come about it so naturally that it's great. It works for you. You don't need the full showroom to be able to sell custom. So that's phenomenal. I love it.
Except my mom. She doesn't trust me. So we had to go up to the design center and sit on things.
But that's because that's a parent. So.
This is my mom. Yeah.
Okay, Melanie's also asking, do you label your products so your client as a white label? Wow, I said that really poorly. Does she label her products to her clients or white label them?
No. What do you mean label? Like show them the brand name?
Yeah, I think are you saying this is a Lindsey Putzier pillow? Like you're not telling them all the pieces, like it's white labeled to you. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I certainly don't slap my label on it, but I don't disclose the brands. I tell them I explain the quality. Because what's the point? I mean, what do they need to know for? Now that's different a little bit with, CR Lane. I'll tell them, go look at the frames if you want, because I'm competitive with CR Lane. It's not very many people sell it around here, and it's a custom item anyway, and I don't have a studio, so I don't have the overhead. So I'm very competitive with my pricing, and I know it. So I'm not really that concerned. But if I'm sourcing something from Uttermost or, something, or Hudson Valley Lighting, where my margin's not great, I'm certainly not going to tell them, oh, this is Hudson Valley Lighting, you should go check it out and then go buy it from Cleveland Lighting instead of me. That's not going to be.
So then are you offering a warranty or managing? What's your process around that? So if you're not going to disclose where it's from, you're doing the purchasing.
If they have an issue with it, they call me, and then I'll contact the manufacturer, because I am the retailer in that case.
And so for how long do you offer that service?
However long the warranty is on the item. So it's in my contract. I have a big old section about warranty. I don't offer any kind of warranty. Whatever the company offers, then I will work with them to resolve the issue. But once that's through, we're done. But I mean, this is all about customer service, right? So if someone comes to me 14 months later and a lamp is like blown up or something, I'm going to replace it, even if the warranty expired in 12 months, because that's why I price my things accordingly, so that I have the margin to work with that. So it's risk.
And then you have the margin and I said margin, margin, and
yes,
you have the customer. You're offering great customer experience, right? And then they're just going to refer you. So, right, keep your customers happy. Question for you from Molly McGinnis: do you use mood boards or other software for furniture layouts?
I do.
What do you do?
I do. I use Icovia for furniture floor plan, like furniture layout type things from a bird's eye view. And then I use PowerPoint, because I was a consultant and I used PowerPoint every day. So I really love PowerPoint. So I use that for the mood boards. And I know how to, you just have to take strip the background off the image, and then you can kind of,
you can maneuver it around and customize it the way you want.
It's fun. I call them 2D renderings, because they're not 3D. But
they're not, that's correct. They are not. But and you find that works well for you.
Yeah.
Okay. I got a couple more questions coming in. So Sonia's asking, how many client projects do you feel comfortable taking simultaneously at this point in your business?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have about 12 right now. It totally depends on the projects and what's going on. If I have like a really large, keep in mind, I'm not a luxury designer, so I guess I should probably put that out there. I want to be yet. I'm not a luxury designer yet, so I don't have $200,000, $300,000 budgets that I'm working with. The largest project that I've done so far is probably going to end up around $90,000, which is the largest by a large margin. I think my second largest was like 40. So I'm really working like one room or 2 rooms at a time. It's not like I'm doing a full house. I only did one, and that was the $90,000 one. So a lot of the clients are just, 10-hour package clients or just a room. So that's why I can handle that many. If I have larger clients, then I'm going to have to not accept as many at a time. And I only have, I will only do 3 initial consultations a week. So I do spread out things so that I have time for follow-up after that. And then in my calendar, I use Google Calendar, and I've got blocks of time scheduled for sourcing for clients. And I schedule all the meetings up front for Designer on Demand. If they want to meet me at like a fabricator or something like that, then we schedule all those in advance. They're in my calendar, they're color coded so that I know what I'm getting myself into. So when somebody calls and asks, when can you meet? I can look at my calendar and say, well, it's going to be a month out. And usually they're okay with that, unless it's an emergency and they have a handyman coming this week and they need my help. And in which case I say no.
I love your organization. It's very empowering that you have things color blocked and time blocked, just to be able to accurately say it's about a month out.
Yeah.
That's how you can take 12 projects, because even if they're small, they're still time consuming. And in my experience, sometimes the smaller ones take way more time than those big ones. Those big ones take a longer period of time, right? Like maybe the project is 6 months or a year, but the actual day-to-day is a little bit less, whereas those small ones can be very like time sucking.
It can. I also use Acuity for initial discovery calls now. I'm using Acuity for all of my scheduling. Wow. Okay. So that was like so my initial discovery call, I will send them a link, and if they call me, I'll ask, is this a cell phone? I'll either text me your email, and then I'll send them an email with the link to the Acuity discovery call calendar, which links up to my Google Calendar, and then they get to pick a time for a discovery call, and that's our first interaction. And that could be a week out or 2 weeks out, depending on what my calendar is doing and what their schedule is like. But then that's okay, because then they've set that expectation, and I'm not going back and forth over the course of a week trying to schedule a 15-minute call.
Right. Yeah. It's like, here's the time, just book it, do it.
Right.
Love it. And then you know what to expect.
I do book personally after that. I don't want them going in and picking a 2-hour time slot, because some of these projects are in Hudson, so they're like 5 minutes away. Or I have a client that's in my neighborhood. Okay, I can walk there. But then I have clients that are all the way down in North Canton, or you don't know these are. They're like 50 minutes away. So obviously, if I have a 2-hour consultation that's 50 minutes away, I can't book anything right next to that. So, I don't want to block off that much time automatically in the calendar. So I handle all those manually.
Smart. And it also, I find mentally, if you're switching activities, like what you're doing, right? So it depends. Like, you don't want somebody who's booking you for a kitchen consultation, right? You're going to be there 2 hours. Maybe you're coming off doing custom drapery, and that transition isn't like, it's nice to be able to say, okay, I'm going to work on this custom drapery, and then I'm going to move to this decorating project where we're going to be doing bedding, and
right,
where there's that natural flow can be a lot easier, right?
Yes.
Can be mentally.
That's very true.
Switching can be really difficult. One more question for sure, and I'm sure more are going to pop up, but we'll start to wrap up. Are you comfortable sharing the lowest quality / brand you sell for sofas? Stephanie Katz is looking for, it looks like a resource.
So a lot of people say, and I have Row as well. So a lot of people will use Row for lower end. But I've got such good pricing with CR Lane that this is one of those scenarios in which I am okay. I would make the same margin either way, right? So, or same amount of money, I should say, not margin. But like, if I'm going to make $700 or $1,000 on a Row sofa, then I'll just sell them a CR Lane sofa that's slightly more, but I'll still make $1,000 or whatnot. So it's not selling it at that retail cost that it should be. Which I know is not the greatest, but I still feel more comfortable with the product and the quality long term, and the fabric selection and just the look of it. Again, building my portfolio. So I usually just stick to CR Lane. But I know, I don't know. I don't sell real cheap sofas. I just won't. I will do designer on demand if they want something that's like $800 or something like that, and I'll just pick something off of Wayfair.
And what would be, let's talk, when we're talking CR Lane, can you give me an idea of what would an average cost of a sofa be?
So, it ranges, but like some of the more basic ones, it could be, and the fabric grade matters too. So like the lowest grade fabrics, it could be like $1,300. So, and then shipping is really economical for them. It might be like $100 to ship the sofa, which is great. And then if I'm doing a receiver, one of my receivers that I use is extremely cheap. So it might be an extra $200 total for the thing. So let's say I bid at $1,500, I might sell it at $2,200, which is really low for CR Lane. But that doesn't happen very often. Usually it's more like $3,000, $3,500.
Okay, that's kind of what I was guessing, but that's nice to know that there's like a good variety in there.
There's some, and Bernhardt too has some, I don't know, it's hard to get under that price point without selling crap. And I have a hard time because it's my business. I'm selling it, right? I'm the retailer. So I don't want to sell something that's going to break, especially for a sofa. There's a couple things that I just really insist on we invest in. And a sofa is one of them. I don't care about your accent chairs. If no one's going to use them, I will go to Olix. Do you guys know Olix or something like that, or Uttermost? Actually, it's better than Olix, but one of those companies, and just fine, you can have your $600 accent chair. But
you're going to switch it anyways.
Exactly.
Sofa's should last a lot longer.
Exactly.
Which is the last question I just want to bring up from Stephanie. You actually already touched on it. So she's just talking about, how do you get them to buy a good sofa without sitting on it? How do you build that trust? So she asks a couple questions around, she's working on tackling her mindset and sales tactics around this, because
so I explained the quality. So I explained that it is 8-way hand tied, and it is a kiln dried wood frame, that the legs are part of the frame. They don't screw on and off. That the cushions are made of either high quality foam, or I'll like explain what the down ones are. I explain what the product is to them, and then they understand.
That's exactly what I was going to say. When you are a product knowledge expert, it's much easier to sell. So my experience with selling custom cabinetry, I didn't have custom cabinetry showroom to show them, but you better believe it. It was like, this is plywood, it's dovetailed, there's French versus English, dovetailed, right? Full extension drawer glides. I can still remember all this like it was yesterday. Right? And you can talk all about these components and when they feel that trust, right? And it's becoming that product expert. And
you can also educate them on the reverse. Like, okay, so your current sofa that you bought on Wayfair, that the arms are now going like this and the frame is going like this, it's made of cardboard. If you can bend the arms down, it's cardboard. If you cut open one of those cushions, it's probably pieces of foam that are just randomly put in there. God knows where they got the pieces of foam, right? And who knows what's off-gassing from that foam. So there's a lot of things you can do also on the flip side to kind of show them what's wrong with having an inferior product, especially for something like a sofa, because it's the main thing that people sit on, or like the guy chair or something like that. Same kind of concept. It's important to have quality pieces and to know what inferior products are made of too, so you can show them the difference. I don't have a blog post on that yet. I really should, but there's some good ones. Rochelle, why am I blanking on her last name?
Rochelle Pletch.
Yes.
Pletch. She did the deconstruction.
Rochelle has some wonderful videos out there talking about the quality of sofas and what you find when you cut them open, and the difference between them. So I highly recommend you just look for her on Facebook, and she's got some great information.
Lindsey, it's been such a pleasure. I think we could talk for another 2 hours and just gab here, because you have been very forthcoming with information. You're so honest. I think it's been really helpful for everybody just to listen to your process, how you price things, how you work with vendors. I hope that it's, especially Stephanie Katz's last question here about mindset and sales, I hope that really inspired people. I think that's a big challenge, and maybe we should do another topic on that. It's just about knowing the product, right? Because you're expected to be a good designer, you have natural talent, but you also have to sell, right? And selling should come naturally, authentically.
It doesn't
That's
come.
where I'm looking. Maybe not naturally, authentically, right? But you know what? I think I'm going to counter you on that, because you expect good quality. You want to understand, you want to learn. And now your job is to give that, you're just passing that knowledge on to your client.
That's true.
So you are actually being an authentic salesperson, right?
Right. Yeah.
Some people are not that way. I worked with this years ago with this salesperson at a kitchen and bath showroom. And he used to get in every bathtub with the client and like, oh yeah, come sit in here. Like, it's so great. Da, da, da. And then he would lie and be like, I have this bathtub in my house. I'm like, you can't have all these bathtubs. Like, I know you don't. And I know that's how you're selling them.
You have 50 bathtubs.
But it was like, you know, each client, it was a different story. I have this double bathtub, climb in, right? I have this freestanding tub. I was like, come on, like, don't even, like, it gets old. So anyways, I digress. The point is, you're just so authentic. And I think, I want to thank you for your time today, and, disclosing all, all your process. Just as a reminder, see, I told you, Melanie did. They can raise. Hi. I don't know what it does now. Hi, Melanie. Do you have another question? Oh, I think she does. That's why. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Melanie's asking for a link to the videos on the upholstery. Her name is, I don't have them offhand, but it's Rochelle Plett. RICHELLEPLETT. I guess I could just type it. That might be easier. I can, you know what, I'll look for the videos and I can pop it over in the follow-up email with the recording to the session. So, which leads me to say that this has been recorded, and it'll be sent out just shortly so you can listen to it again. Lindsey, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, is there a way for them to do so? What would be best?
Let's see, what's the best way? Get in touch
Instagram,
with me
Facebook, do you want email?
Personal Facebook. The Messenger works really well. My business one, I hate. Don't do that. But yeah, that's fine. Or, Instagram's fine too. I check that too often.
Okay. Okay, wonderful.
And
Well,
please
thank
do,
you,
if
everybody.
you have any questions, I'm open.
She's an open book. She's just
Mhm.
fantastic. Really, really related to you when we first met. I was like, I feel like I've known her forever. I'm like, how is this possible?
Likewise.
So thank you so much.
You're
and
welcome.
Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll be in touch soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.